Section 1. The high cost of inaction. Climate change's economic toll today. Climate change is not just an environmental problem, it's an economic one. We are already paying the price for inaction. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and severe, causing billions of dollars in damage. They disrupt supply chains and displace communities. The agricultural sector is particularly vulnerable. Droughts and floods destroy crops, leading to food shortages and higher prices. This impacts everyone, but especially the poorest among us. Coastal communities are also facing immediate threats. Sea levels are rising, increasing the risk of flooding and erosion. This damages property and infrastructure. The World Bank estimates that climate change could push 100 million people into poverty by 2030. This is a stark reminder of the human cost of inaction. We must act now to mitigate the worst impacts of climate change. Delaying action will only make the problem worse and more expensive to address in the long run. Section 2, 2060. A global economic crossroads. Looking ahead to 2060, the economic picture becomes even more alarming if we fail to act decisively. The cost of inaction will be staggering. The Swiss Re Institute estimates that climate change could shrink the global economy by 18% by 2050. This could be even worse by 2060. Agriculture, a cornerstone of the global economy, faces severe disruptions. Changes in rainfall patterns and increased temperatures threaten crop yields. This will lead to food insecurity and price volatility. Millions of livelihoods depend on agriculture, particularly in developing countries. Real estate and infrastructure are also at risk. Rising sea levels and extreme weather events will damage coastal properties and critical infrastructure. This includes homes, businesses, and transportation networks. The costs of repairs and relocation will be immense. The health sector will face escalating costs. Heat stress, respiratory illnesses, and the spread of infectious diseases will increase. These climate-related health impacts will strain healthcare systems and reduce productivity. Section 3. The urgency of adaptation. Building resilience for a changing world. While mitigating climate change is crucial, adaptation is equally important. Adaptation means adjusting to the changing climate and reducing our vulnerability to its impacts. This requires investing in resilient infrastructure, developing drought-resistant crops, and strengthening early warning systems for extreme weather events. Coastal communities need to adapt to rising sea levels. This could involve building seawalls, restoring natural barriers like mangroves, and relocating vulnerable populations. Investing in climate-resilient infrastructure is crucial. This includes upgrading buildings and transportation systems to withstand extreme weather. Adaptation is not just about physical infrastructure, it's also about social and economic resilience. This means strengthening social safety nets, providing access to climate risk insurance, and diversifying livelihoods. In Section 4, titled The Power of Mitigation. Charting a path to a sustainable future, we delve into the critical role of mitigation. Mitigation involves reducing greenhouse gas emissions to limit the severity of climate change. This requires a rapid transition to a low-carbon economy. We must invest in renewable energy sources, improve energy efficiency, and promote sustainable transportation. Governments play a crucial role in driving this transition. They can implement carbon pricing mechanisms, invest in clean technologies, and phase out fossil fuel subsidies. International cooperation is essential to achieve a global reduction in emissions. The private sector also has a significant role to play. Businesses must adopt sustainable practices, invest in research and development of clean technologies, and disclose their carbon footprint. Consumers can also make a difference by making sustainable choices. In Section 5, a collective responsibility. From global action to individual choices, we explore the necessity of collective effort in addressing climate change. Nations must work together to implement ambitious emissions reduction targets. This includes providing financial and technological support to developing countries. International agreements like the Paris Agreement provide a framework for global cooperation. individual actions are also essential. We can all reduce our carbon footprint by making conscious choices. This includes reducing energy consumption, using public transportation, adopting a plant-based diet, and supporting businesses committed to sustainability. Our individual choices matter. They send a signal to the market and influence policy decisions. By making sustainable choices, we contribute to a collective shift towards a low-carbon future. In Section 6, Time for Transformation. A call to action, we address the economic case for climate action. The cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of taking action. We are at a crossroads. We can continue down the path of inaction, leading to economic turmoil and suffering. Or we can choose a different path, one that leads to a more sustainable and equitable future. This requires a fundamental shift in our economic system. We must move away from an extractive and consumerist model towards a regenerative and distributive one. This is not just about changing our technologies, it's about changing our values. We need a just and equitable transition that leaves no one behind. This is a defining moment for humanity. The choices we make today will determine the world we leave for future generations. We must act now with urgency and ambition.